At a time when Kiev's counteroffensive is generally recognized as a failure, the Ukrainian military does not give up trying to break through the Russian defense on the southern fronts. Over the past month, Ukrainian forces have continued their meat grinder assaults in small groups, which led to growing losses in personnel and equipment, but to no gains on the battlefield. Such disturbing attacks were needed to distract the Russian military and conduct a large-scale regrouping of forces in the Zaporozhye region. Apparently, Ukrainian rotations have been completed and they have resumed attempts at offensive operations. According to reports from the front, starting from October 15th, Ukrainian infantry with armored vehicles and tanks resumed large attacks on Russian positions along the Robotyne, Verbovaya, and Kopany-Nesterenka front lines south of Orkhov. The scale of Ukrainian operations is comparable to those of the first days of Kiev's counteroffensive in early June. Ukrainian units launched another massive attack on October 16th. The goal was to regain control of the positions lost during the recent Russian counterattacks northwest of Verbovaya. In the morning, the Ukrainian artillery intensely shelled the forward positions of the Russian army. Ukrainian forces launched cluster munitions fired with MLRS and carried out airstrikes. After artillery preparations and the destruction of some Russian strongholds, the assault groups of the 82nd Airborne Assault Brigade launched an assault. Up to 6 company groups of paratroopers were deployed in the operation under the cover of Western armored vehicles, including Marder infantry fighting vehicles and Leopard tanks. Almost all Ukrainian assault groups were repulsed. Having lost several dozen servicemen, Ukrainian forces only managed to capture a few strongholds destroyed by their own artillery, which the Russian military had abandoned. At night, the situation in the Zaporozhye direction remained tense. Small Ukrainian groups on tanks and armored vehicles approached Russian positions and, as a result, shooting battles broke out. Russian artillery continued massive shelling on the approaching Ukrainian forces while the infantry repelled all attacks. The Ukrainian command deployed infantry and equipment of various units near Verbovaya, including the 71st Brigade, the 118th Separate Mechanized Brigade, the 82nd Separate Airborne Assault Brigade, and part of the 10th Army Corps were thrown into the battles. Despite the sharp intensification of fighting, the Ukrainian military has so far failed to capture new positions and advance south of Orkhov. However, the Ukrainian assaults on the front lines continue. There is at least one more battalion in the reserve of the Ukrainian army which can be deployed in another offensive. In its turn, the Russian military expected another wave of offensive operations and prepared well to fight the enemy back.